Hi, this is Greg Jarbo. We're at Search Engine Strategy Chicago. I'm with Bill Tancer, who was the keynote speaker this morning. Bill, you had a lot of data to share with people.
I always have a lot of data. A sample of 10 million internet users and what they do every day. That is my problem, but a good problem to have.
Well, I was really intrigued with some of the recent trends that you've seen about shopping patterns. People who, in let's say the upper income, stopped checking their broker and then came back and tried to find their password.
You know, that's the thing about internet data and why it's so valuable is sometimes what you see is counterintuitive, something you may not come up with as a marketer. And that's exactly what we saw when we looked at the most affluent segment in U.S. society. A year ago, they were looking at their brokerage accounts. Actually, of the top 20 accounts, brokerage accounts were top 5. Then if we looked at August 2008, a year later, those same brokerage accounts were in the bottom of the top 20. What those same people were doing were going to diversionary sites like PerezHilton.com, TMZ.com, online games. It clearly showed that what was happening was that as the economy was worsening, this affluent segment decided to just put their head in the sand and not pay attention to their portfolio. Something you may not expect if you were a marketer of financial services. And then what we saw, which was really interesting, forwarding to the next month in September when things really got bad, is we saw a resurgence of searches around password recovery for brokerage accounts within our data, which showed these people had been away so long they'd forgotten how to log into their account, and now we're trying to find a way of getting back in.
Well, I did find my 401k turned into a 201k, and so I had to check that out myself. So, one of the other interesting trends that you identified are the sort of the leading edge, the opinion leaders, the early adopters, and you found a technique for identifying them.
Yes, so in the book Click, one of the things we talk about is that we can actually visualize the diffusion of innovation curve. And that curve is something you might associate with Jeffrey Moore in Crossing the Chasm, that there are certain sequences in how a product's adopted. There's innovators and early adopters, early mainstream, late mainstream, laggards. And what we found is in our data, if we looked at the early days of a YouTube, for example, and looked at the segments of visitors to that site, we could identify who's an early adopter. What's so exciting about that one technique of data analysis is we can take those segments we've identified and we can search today to find out what they're doing today, and that might give us a crystal ball into what might be hot tomorrow.
And do you have any predictions for 2009?
Well, the one thing we talked about in the keynote, one thing I've seen in the data that was somewhat striking is that I looked at these early adopters and I looked into entertainment multimedia, so the same category that YouTube is a member of, to ask what are they doing today. And what I found was quite interesting. They were about a year ago, they were visiting other replacements for YouTube or substitutes for YouTube like Veo, like Wikimedia Commons. That was a year ago. Today, the data is quite different. In the top of the list were a lot of very specific sites that have edited video content or provided an editorial layer to surface content that is relevant to a specific viewpoint or a specific interest. It's as if these early adopters are telling us that there's too much information out there, and just relying on what's most popular on YouTube or just relying as search as a method to find what you're looking for may not work because there's so much content out there you may even not know what to search for. Rather, you know that you're interested in how-to videos, you'd like to go to a how-to site to find the video content that's just an editorial layer on top of YouTube's content.
So, Bill, we'll have to close with both the name of your book and your blog.
Yeah, so the book is Click, What Millions Do Online and Why It Matters, and it's available in bookstores today, being published in the UK next year in January by HarperCollins. And then the blog is www.ilovedata.
And thank you very much. And there we are. It's day 2, Search Engine Strategy Chicago, and there's a lot more to come.